So, Fu, you know what Superman's handing out to trick-or-treaters this year?
I don't know.
Clark bars.
Oh gosh.
The greatest DC comic show on YouTube has found its way to your home. Thanks for joining us for Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. If you're watching on the Rewind, a special hello to you as well. We certainly do appreciate your time today. In a moment, we'll check in with our live chat, but first I say hello and an early happy Halloween to Comic Food 2814. How are you today?
I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I'm
Oh
happy
no.
to be here.
Oh
So,
no. Well, we have a good
happy
retro
Halloween.
review tonight, so maybe that will pep you up a little bit.
Absolutely.
We'll get
Yes.
you all fired up.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Now, Tim the comic collector is not here tonight because he's in charge of gas station nachos.
That's true.
Yeah. Why is Tony Fett, Signature King, not here tonight?
Because the fanboys forgot to get him one of these.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to come together this Christmas, pull together our resources, and clearly Tony needs one of these. So
Yeah. We can make them Harley colors. One side, one color, the other side,
we
the other
could,
color.
yeah. I'm sure we can have them custom made, or we could paint
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a
I
good
think
idea.
Tony would appreciate this, and it's clearly much needed. Unfortunately, one of our fanboys has injured himself yet again.
Self-injury.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. There we go.
I guess it's an excused absence. You know.
This isn't
at
too
some
far
point-
away. This isn't too far away from Santa period. If I was him, I don't think I'd be taking the chance on not showing up.
That's true.
Because, he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you're on the fanboy show or not.
Yep.
So you better be, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. I don't know.
But look at some folks that did stop in to say hi to us, starting with Super Russ 9000. Pop in and to drop a like. I'll catch the replay tomorrow. That's awesome. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope we do a good job for you. I will say that this retro review tonight has sparked. I received a message last night of someone else that just said how excited they were that this story was getting featured tonight on retro review. So thank you to Seeking Superman who sent me that message. So that's pretty awesome. Hopefully he can join us during the live stream. If not, I'm sure he'll watch in the rewind. I Collect a Lot is here. How you doing? Hope you're doing awesome. Good to see you, and thanks for stopping in.
How's it going?
Yeah. So I don't think there's a whole lot of big news going on. And we do have kind of a bigger size retro review tonight, but is there anything to cover news-wise that we can
just a few minor things that we came across. We did see that the Green Lantern TV show is definitely moving forward. And we saw, there's a rumor going around that they're looking at Channing Tatum as Hal Jordan.
Interesting. Of course, It was a rumor that Channing Tatum would be in the MCU as Gambit.
I heard that too. Yeah.
But that had been flying for a while. So who knows,
Who knows? I think Superman Legacy is set for 2025. And then I guess the new thing that kind of came out of this is it looks like they're developing a TV series around The Question.
Okay.
So that could actually be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So definitely a character that not as many people know about. Although I think for fans of The Question, they seem to really get into the character. So
yeah.
We'll see.
See, my biggest exposure to The Question came with the Justice League Unlimited cartoon because they did feature that character a lot.
Yeah, they did.
That incarnation.
And he's shown up. I want to say it was Blackest Night and Brightest Day. I think he had a role to play in that as well.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, I see Scott has showed up to say hi to us. So Hoarder's Hide, hope you're doing well. Always appreciate you stopping in to say hi.
How's it going?
One thing. Oh, we have Paul S. who's here as well. We'll say hi to him too. That's awesome. So another piece of news, we already knew that we're getting an animated Crisis on Infinite Earths movie, and it's going to be broken into different parts. We knew this,
Yeah.
but do you know that it sounds like we know when we're going to get our first installment of that, and it's a lot sooner, I think, than you realize.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm hearing that Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 is being released on January 24th.
Oh,
That's
wow.
pretty soon. Now, they haven't even announced the voice cast for this yet.
That's like 3 months.
To my knowledge. Yeah. To my knowledge, they haven't announced the voice cast. But we're getting the movie pretty soon, and it looks like it's coming in. Let me see if I can confirm this or not.
Now, are they going to, well, do you know, are they going to do like the original story, or is this going to be one of those things where they change it up some?
I don't know. I know that, when they did the audio adaptation of it, they really condensed it down to just a handful of characters. Mm-hmm. So, but I hope that they stick as absolute close as they can to the original, even if we see characters who don't have speaking roles just in the background doing stuff, where you can go, oh my gosh, that's Biowana Beast or whoever, I mean, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, no, that'll be fun.
Yeah. No, I was trying to see if I had a rating for it. I don't. The Justice League War World movie is an R-rated. And there's the R-rated animated Watchmen movie, too. I don't think Crisis will probably end up R-rated, though. I think I'd be surprised at that.
Yeah, I would be surprised. It shouldn't be.
But, if this date, which is being floated around, is accurate, and it's being reported by a couple different sites, that's pretty soon. So
now, where are they going to release that? Everywhere?
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be theaters or if that's just going to be a direct stream or what it is. So, or if it will stream first and then physical media will be available. I'm not exactly sure, but it sounds like it's coming pretty soon.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all the news that I have. I don't know if you have a whole lot of other stuff that I don't.
That's all I had.
But it gives us an excuse to kind of get into the retro review, because this is going to be a longer one tonight. While it's only 3 issues, these are longer issues. Tell us, Fu, first of all, because you picked this, why this was your choice tonight.
Well, for those that have been with the Fanboys from literally the first show, this comes into play. Or did we? Yeah, we started with the death of Superman, right? Or no, we started with Nightfall, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, it's been so long, but very early on, Tim and I did do the Death of Superman storyline. And this Hunter Prey story, it's a 3-part story here from the 90s. It came out very shortly after the death of Superman. And so it's kind of like part 2 of the Death of Superman story. In fact, it is round 2 of Superman versus Doomsday. So these are my original comics that I got as a kid. Absolutely loved it. And what is so great about this story is that we get some answers. So that were left off from the death storyline. We do get some answers here as to, well, I'm not going to spoil anything yet because we're about to get into this. But one of the things that I did find interesting is when I was going through pulling these books out last, so I came across this, which is the trade paperback. Well, it's the new trade paperback for it. I think there was one that came before this, but if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the one I got at your LCS when I was visiting you.
Yeah, I think so.
So when they came out with the new trade paperbacks for the Death of Superman, they always originally had the Death, and then the World Without a Superman, which was Funeral for a Friend, and then they had Return of Superman, which was Reign of Superman. When they, I think it was 2016, I want to say, they came out with the new edition. They changed the order and they added some new stuff in. And one of the things that they added was the Hunter Prey storyline. So this is the 5th book in that series. So they're it's kind of cool that they did include it as the part of the overall story, because it really does fit into it.
Yeah, and this is the same creative team, we should mention too, that did the
Absolutely.
Death of
Yes.
Superman.
Same creative team. And yeah, we're going to have fun getting into this one.
Yeah.
And
You don't
we
mind
get
pulling up an
Man
assist?
Doomsday.
Yeah. I'll get us started with issue number 1. And like I said, these are a little bit longer issues. And, I'll probably circle back around to that with our final thoughts once we get through the 3 of them.
Okay. Now, one thing we should add here is for those that may have forgotten, Superman and Doomsday took each other out basically with one final blow. Superman came back thanks to the Kryptonian regeneration matrix, came on to, with the help of the Eradicator and Superboy and Steel, took out the evil cyborg Superman, but not before the cyborg Superman flew Doomsday's dead body out into space and chained it up to an asteroid to float for eternity. And that's where that story kind of left off. So here it picks up.
Yeah. So we got a pretty good cover there. I like the flames in the background. Superman's looking fierce.
Yeah, like early 90s CGI, it looks like.
Yeah, at the time that was pretty awesome though.
Yeah.
Yep. So as we get started with the story, probably not the first thing you're expecting to see in the story is a very young Clark Kent. Notice the colors he's wearing too. Colors that are associated pretty much with what he would grow up, but he's afraid. And he's supposed to go downstairs into the dark, but he knows there's something down there. He can't see it, and he's afraid. So instead, he runs back to Ma Kent, and he knows that she's going to be disappointed. And Ma knows that she's afraid. He thinks the whole world knows, and it makes him feel like he's 2 inches tall. But she hugs him, and he promises to go back in the cellar and bring up the ironing board that she asked for, because he wants to earn his allowance. So he walks back down. His knees are shaking and knocking, and he knows there's a monster in there, but he can't see him. But he gets over to the light. He turns on the light. Then as you start to see on the right-hand side, he's aging up real fast into the adult Superman where he can see it. And what can he see? Check out the splash page on the next page. He sees the thing in the dark, the monster, the killer. It's Doomsday. And instantly we're snapped into the battle that ended up taking their lives of Doomsday and Superman. And Doomsday's getting his blows in. And this is something we've never seen before. Who's been able to do this to Superman, And eventually what happens is what we know happens. Superman dies. And we see his dead body laying there. Then all of a sudden, it makes him feel just like he's that little kid again. And Doomsday is going to hit him again, almost as if he's the little kid because he's afraid. And for Superman, that's definitely a new feeling. When we get to the next page, he wakes up. So this was a dream he's having. And apparently every night it's the same thing. It's the same dream. It's over and over. It just repeats endlessly. So he gets up and he starts to stretch. And he's wondering, am I really afraid of Doomsday? I shouldn't be afraid of anything, but these dreams. And he says, I know that Cyborg took Doomsday's body and tossed it into space. But why? What motive could he have had? Is there some type of deeper connection between the two? He wants to know what's happening. Well, I'll tell you what's happening out in space. We have a space freighter that's bound for Apokolips. And inside we have Captain Slavin. He's always looking out for something that he might be able to find in space that could turn a profit on Apokolips. And they see this asteroid and they're intrigued by it because financially this could benefit him. So he tells them to turn on the tractor beam. And they start to bring the beam in or bring the item in through the tractor beam. And when they do and they get a closer look to it, they see what's on the other side of this meter. And they can't believe exactly what they're seeing. It's Doomsday. And they're like, yeah, we need to get rid of him and send him back. But all of a sudden, the monster starts to awake. And they realize it. They realize that he's alive. And they're trying to push it out of the tractor beam as fast as they can. Doomsday is having none of that. He's able to free part of himself that's tied to the asteroid. And he reaches back and grabs a hold of part of the crew, and they're starting to get sucked out of the ship themselves. They're firing on him. It's just making him angrier and angrier. So now we're going to cut back to Earth to see what's going on. Superman's thinking about Lois Lane, how years ago he found her, and he was convinced he'd never be able to find anyone else to be with. And he wondered how anyone could ever relate to him. His talents, his powers made him different. But all of that was before I found Lois, and there she is. And she hears someone tapping at her window. It's Superman. He is not there to stir the spaghetti sauce. He is there because he wants to tell her about the dream that he had. And it's 3 a.m. She wants to know what's wrong. And he talks about how it's the dreams, about Doomsday. They keep telling him that something feels like it's pushing him. And she's like, pushing you where? What are you thinking? And he says, I have to find him, Lois. I have to find Doomsday. And she's like, no. We know his body's floating somewhere in space, but just leave it there. Besides, you came back from the dead. Has it ever occurred to you that maybe he did too? So this ship, as we cut back now, we're on Apokolips. And apparently the ship must have had an autopilot feature, which brought it back to Apokolips, its home. And we see, yeah, exactly. Just what you didn't want to happen. And the people here at where the ship landed are getting ready to board the ship because nobody's come out. And they're kind of like, hey, cover me, as I go in. And there's a big scream. And all of a sudden we see this captain's head just literally fly past. And of course, we already know what the cause is, but they're soon to find out that there is a monster among them that is wreaking havoc. I mean, coming out of the ship, guns blazing. And one of the guys is like, I recognize it. That's just more than just a thing down there. We must alert the Sovereign Palace at once. Our Lord and Master Great Darkseid must be informed that the Armageddon creature is on Apokolips. We cut back to Earth. We have Superman and Lois again. She's telling him Doomsday is dead, and Superman's like, but we don't know, who he is or where he came from. He might be unique, but maybe there is just, millions more like him, that are going to come for us. And she's like, isn't it kind of morbid to go after his body? And he says, remember too that a dead body can be plenty dangerous. Long ago in Krypton, scientists became obsessed with genetic engineering. Here on Earth, men who still don't understand what forces they're dealing with are trying to recreate life and bring back the dead. And she says, are you saying someone might find Doomsday and try to make him live again? Or, even try to build an army of Doomsdays is what's worrying Superman. And she's like, well, how are you going to find him? Space is so vast. And he's like, it's going to be tough, but maybe the Justice League could be of some assistance. And Lois says, I don't want you to do this. She said, I spent weeks thinking you were gone, that I'd never see you again. Something about all of this makes me feel so creepy. And he says, I'll be back, I promise. And she says, don't make promises you can't keep, Clark. Don't lie to me. And he said, never. And gives her a passionate kiss. So as we cut back again, we're on Apokolips and we're in the Great Palace, and Darkseid's being informed that the reports appear to be true, that the bringer of extinction, the Armageddon creature, is raging across Apokolips. So Darkseid is telling him this. The monster's already ripped through several divisions of your best troops, and he wants to know what Darkseid's orders are. And he says, summon my elite guard. They will not halt the creature or slow its progress. If we can't develop a plan that will allow Apokolips to survive, we shall prepare for evacuation. We cut back to what's going on in Apokolips and its utter destruction. Doomsday is all over this, destroying the warriors and the army of Apokolips. They say their most powerful guns have no effect on him. He's as strong as the legends say. But this exo armor can't stop anything. And Doomsday's just going for it. I mean, he's laughing as he's doing it. He talks about how he's beyond injury. He's the perfect carrier, the ideal protector. And then as they go on, we see Doomsday still fighting, but someone else appears in the background. And someone who knows, with the powers and knowledge of Kryptonian genetics means that life is mine again. And the dreaded Cyborg is alive and well. So that was Cyborg Superman, who they just referred to as Cyborg now. Not to be confused with the Teen Titans member. And he says, when the insufferable Superman destroyed Hank Henshaw, my previous body, he could never have known my mind would find refuge elsewhere. And even he couldn't have guessed it would be on Doomsday's back. So I'm like, I was reading this and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cyborg is ready to
tracking device on him.
Yeah. So Cyborg, Superman is ready to kind of finish this job, and he uses some of his laser vision and starts wreaking havoc. Darkseid is aware that the monster has been joined by another, and he says, I beg you to call for help before Apokolips is naught but a smoldering ruin. He suggests maybe that Legion or the Darkseid could be of assistance, and Darkseid says to be silent. All the hells of the universe will long frozen over before I let the cosmos believe us to be so weak. And he says, you know the legends as well as I. The monster cannot be killed, they say. However, that was not so on Earth. And so we cut back to Earth and we have Superman, who needs to find the people who seem to have all the answers. They call themselves the Linear Men. And they're time travelers and out of time like sharks swimming in the seas. He reminisces about how they had encountered each other several times in the past, but the problem is they always look for him. He's never tried looking for them. But he's got one shot. There's a young boy named Waverider that lives in this house that he's flown up to. He'll eventually grow up to be the leader of the team. And then we hear a voice, and we don't know at first who it is, saying, I knew you'd come. And then we find out that it's the adult, Waverider, who says, don't flatter yourself by thinking we constantly monitor only you, Superman. That young boy in the house will soon be awakened to see Superman standing in his backyard. That boy was me. I remember this night well. So it's Waverider and Waverider. And that's exactly who Superman's looking for. And they say, we will be invisible to everyone else but yourself. But I always had known that I would come here one day to find out why a renowned person such as Superman would come to my house. And then they say, well, you're obviously looking for the Linear Men, Superman, but why? And he says, information, and you guys have more of it than anyone else I know. I need you to tell me everything that you know about Doomsday. And then they said, well, we kind of explained our position on this in the past to you, Superman. The information that we have regarding Doomsday would have to come through most extraordinary means. You'll have to find it on your own. And Superman's like, that's a cop-out. And, they go on to say, Superman, the Linear Men seek to only protect the time stream. If we tell you secrets, it would shake the balance of the future. We know that must come. Superman says, it's what you used to do. If there are others like Doomsday, I need to know about it. Besides, if you're really also concerned about your pledges of non-interference, you wouldn't have let me find out the Linear Men existed in the first place. The young Waverider's father, still the older Waverider's father as well, but the one in the current incarnation, the young version, he realizes that these people and Superman is outside his door. What are you doing here? And Superman's like, great, we've been caught by your father. And he's like, no, you've been caught because he doesn't see us, remember? He doesn't see either one of us. Superman reminds them that they're a real pain and to do him a favor and stay out of his way. And then this is really important to the story. They say, be cautious, Superman. I have learned from my past mistakes, your rash actions could well lead to the apocalypse. And Superman says, nothing wrong, Mr. Ryder. Just teach your son to do what's right while you still have time. And he's like, what the heck is that supposed to mean? Well, there's the young Waverider with the prophecy coming full circle there, seeing Superman fly away this night that he'll always remember, that he just referenced as the older Waverider,
Yep, very cool.
Yeah, so we cut back then to Apokolips to see what's going on. Darkseid is wondering if it's wise for Darkseid to mix with the common people, or as he refers to them, trash. And Darkseid says, we faced a most unique situation, Darkseid. I must study it firsthand. And he talks about how his people must be protected. Darkseid wonders, should we, just get rid of the entire sector to kill this monster, make them go with the monster? And Darkseid says, it's already destroyed our weapons. They're not going to have any effect on the creature. If Apokolips is to be saved, I will have to take a more active role. So that always made me feel like if this was a TV show, this would be like your commercial break right there,
Yeah.
because that's like a really cool statement.
Yep.
And back from commercial, we say, I have yet to encounter a being who can't withstand the unsurpassed force of my Omega beams. So he fires out the beams. They start trailing down. It looks like they're heading for Doomsday's behind, but they hit him right in the back. And it's affecting Doomsday for sure. And Darkseid's feeling pretty cocky, pretty arrogant. Your existence has been whispered about in fearful tones for years, creature. The only being who do not tremble upon hearing of you are those who do not know of your power, and I, the one who can equal it, die, creature. And, he pretty much declares that you're going to die at the feet of Darkseid. And Darkseid pretty much thinks that maybe he's accomplished that mission. So he starts walking towards him. Oh, no, but he hasn't. Coming up out of the ground, you see that fist popping up there. And Darkseid is like, impossible. And then this is my favorite page in the entire issue here. I love the splash with Darkseid being attacked from behind by Doomsday. Because this is an image, you don't really see Darkseid in that position so much, that vulnerable and that someone really getting a one-up on him. And I just love that page. I thought that was so awesome.
Oh, yeah. Looks like it's getting his Achilles, maybe. Oh,
yeah. So that is so good. And Darkseid, as they start to fight, he's like, no one has ever survived the Omega beams, especially from point blank range. So he starts it again, but Doomsday shuts that down. Darkseid says, the legends are true. You are beyond death. So Desaad is freaking out because he has witnessed the unthinkable. The great Darkseid himself has been vanquished on the field of battle. If Darkseid can be defeated, Desaad wonders what chance do the rest of us have? And he's like, glorious Apokolips is in great danger than ever before. And if we're to survive, I must counterattack Darkseid's earliest orders. Though it shames us all, I must search elsewhere for help. You hear someone say, well, this is a surprise. Who's saying that? It's Maxima. And she's inside the Justice League. Superman's there at the Justice League. And she says, you refused our latest offer to join the Justice League, Kryptonian. And now you come to us asking for help? He's like, not help, Maxima, information. He's like, the JLA has access to a lot of tracking equipment. I need to hunt down the asteroid that's carrying Doomsday. And Maxima does admire the spirit of the warrior that Superman's displaying. And he's just like, hey, I just need some cooperation here. And he says, in the past, I would ask the Green Lanterns, but that's hardly an option now. So, Fu, do you know why that isn't an option now? What was going on with the Green Lanterns at that time? Do you know?
Well, this is shortly after Emerald Twilight, where Hal Jordan was possessed by Parallax and took out the Green Lantern Corps. So
okay. All right.
Kyle Rayner is currently the only Green Lantern left.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a little more sense. So Superman's asking Maxima if she has any contacts that can help out. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, we're getting some type of message coming through our priority channel. And they realize that it's Desaad. And he's kind of looking for Mr. Miracle and Orion and Light Ray. And, they're like, Desaad, you weasel. They're not with the League these days, so just bug off. And Desaad's like, Apokolips is in dire need of their aid, human. Tell me where I can find them. And then all of a sudden, Superman realizes, hey, he's like, Desaad, give me the details of the problem that you have. And he's thinking, it must be coincidence. And then all of a sudden, Desaad has to, I can't. Desaad, he cuts out of the stream. And Superman's like, that's kind of evasive, but this can't be a simple coincidence. Tell me how to get to Apokolips from here, he asks Maxima. And she's like, if you think Apokolips is somehow connected to Doomsday, then I shall go there with you. I battled that infernal creature too, Superman. I relish the opportunity to fight for those who helped fight against those who helped create him. Superman's like, no. He's like, no, this is something I have to handle on my own. I can travel in space these days. All I need is a map or some type of star chart to show me how to get to Apokolips. Well, what's going on in Apokolips? That's where we cut back to. And look at the eyes of Doomsday right there. Yeah, so we got Doomsday and we got Cyborg. And they believe that they've killed Darkseid and they're kind of hauling his body along behind. And Cyborg says, in a matter of hours, we can change this entire planet and War World will live again. And all of a sudden you see Darkseid say, no. And you realize he's not dead. Big boom tube going, Superman's coming through it, and now he has a mother box, which is a living computer. She even teleported him there. Perhaps the only way to get there is through a boom tube. And Superman sees Apokolips, the most godforsaken planet the universe has ever known. And the mother box must really be alive because it feels as uncomfortable as he does. And when he flies down into Apokolips, it's not exactly what he was expecting because it looks exactly like a war zone. Darkseid's palace is even in flames. He's like, I better go ahead and have a look around. And he hears someone say, well, I hardly expected you, old friend. He turns around, he's like, it's Hank Henshaw. He's like, I relinquished my human identity long ago, Superman. I believe Earth's press referred to me as the Cyborg, so I suggest you do the same. And Superman's saying, I don't know how you got here, but I'm taking you down. And he's like, oh, you don't know how I got here? This is quite an opportunity. You obviously don't know who my partner is. And he's like, if you're working with Darkseid, he's like, Darkseid? That's my enemy, I'll use my powers to repair this view screen and take a look, Superman. This really ought to make your day. So as Superman is watching on the screen, we just get this continuous panel of how his emotions are changing. The horror, the terror, the madness, the memories of the pain and death. Because he now knows that Doomsday is alive. And they say, I thought you knew. I thought that's why you were here. No matter, you're my kill. And he fires against him. And he's like, I have to get up. I have to find Doomsday. I have to stop him this time once or for all. Darkseid is saying, these fools are ignoring me. And this is my only chance to do what has to be done. And Cyborg's saying, you're going to do nothing. Doomsday is my instrument of war, my hammer against Apokolips. While in the meantime, nobody's watching Darkseid. He pulls a boom tube, which is right behind Doomsday, and kind of sucks him in. And Superman instantly realizes what's going on. And he's like, coward! He has to be stopped. And he takes off flying as fast as he can. He knows he has to move faster than he's ever moved before. I failed to stop him once. I can't let him get away again. But as it gets closer and closer, so does the boom tube coming up. And he starts to fade. And all of a sudden, Superman realizes he's too late. Too late. He thinks, I should have been faster. Did I hold back? Did part of me want him to escape? When I saw Doomsday alive, I felt fear. No, that can't be true. I wanted to nail him here on Apokolips, but now he's gone. But where? And what if it's Earth? And that's the wrap up of the first issue.
All right.
I'll also say hello to Jason's with us, Southern Comic Geek. Awesome to see you.
How's it going?
And Seeking Superman did make it here. So awesome to see you too.
Nice to see you guys. All right. So on to issue number 2 here of Hunter Prey. We've got we're at the vanishing point with the Linear Men. We've got Waverider here, and he is he's able to jump through time. He was there. In fact, there's actually a story that they've done since where he goes back and sees we see that he was actually there at the time of Superman's death, kind of just watching it happen because he's not allowed to interfere. But it still bothers him. It gnaws at him that he's never been able to help. So he decides, you know what? I might actually be needed. I might have to break my oath. So he heads over to Apokolips. Back to Superman here. Superman's still trying to recover here. He knows he's looking for Doomsday. And Darkseid shows up. And Superman's like, wow, I thought he hurt you really bad. And Darkseid's like, and he just falls over again. And Superman's like, yeah, okay, he's alive, but he's still down. So we flash back to the Cyborg Superman, who is going after Darkseid now. Desaad, of course, is doing his thing. He's like, hey, I'll call you master. And he's like, no, I think not. I'd rather you just be dead. And he throws him. And really what Cyborg wants to do is he wants to interact with the computer systems of Apokolips so he can take over. He sees that the Apokolips's defenses are coming over to stop him, but it's really too late because at this point he's already connected to the computer systems. And as we see, he is actually able to get right into their helmets and project a sonic blast through or frequency through their helmets, and they all fall to their death basically. So now Cyborg Superman is in full control of Apokolips and all of its defensive systems, as well as offensive, I guess. Meanwhile, Superman is still Clark, and so he's going to do the right thing. He can't just let Darkseid there to die, so he picks him up and he takes him over to safety. He doesn't know how to help him, but he knows that the Mother Box can. So he actually gives up his Mother Box to Darkseid to help heal him. Yeah, and he walks away and he's like kind of like joking to himself. He's like, next thing you know, I'll be saving Attila the Hun. And he says, good luck, Darkseid. You're gonna owe me after this. So he knows that now he's got both Cyborg Superman to deal with, as well as figure out where Doomsday is gone. Just then, Waverider shows up and has a quick talk with Superman. He basically acknowledges, like, you know what, there's too much at stake here. I kind of got to help you. And Superman also is like, hey, you gave me the tip to come here to Apokolips. He said I would be the bringer of Apokolips, but what he was really just giving him a hint to come to planet Apokolips. So Superman again's like, I know you always refuse to get involved, but this time it's time to help. You got to get yourself involved. So Waverider says, okay, this is what I can do. I'm going to give you the knowledge, the truth of what has really happened. And this is where we're going to learn a lot of secrets to Doomsday. So he touches Superman. And again, Waverider has all of the knowledge all through time, right? So we are going way, way back in time. Many hundreds or 250,000 years ago to this distant planet, okay? On this planet, the environment is so hostile that it's almost incapable of supporting life. The winds are ferocious. The temperatures are incredibly hot. But there is this one mighty structure there where there are some scientists working. And outside the structure, it can be cold, as well as hot. Beats the heart equally cold. Yeah. But inside this thing is something that is basically pure evil. Inside, we've got these scientists. We've got this kind of gray alien looking guy, and then these kind of humanoids. And they say they'll be ready soon. The subject is ready to awaken, and they're talking about how they're becoming gods because they can basically create their own life. They hear the pounding outside. Something is outside pounding on the walls, and it's basically the inhabitants of this world. They're very dangerous. Again, almost nothing can survive there, but some things do. So you've got not only a very dangerous climate, but also very dangerous wildlife on this planet. Some of the most lethal creatures in the universe. They're poisonous. They'll bring instant death. They have great strength and speed. These creatures are really, like I said, very dangerous. And here they are inside the laboratory, though they're safe, and they are creating this. It's some kind of a baby. You would assume some kind of genetic modifications is going on here. So they turn on the defenses to get the creatures away for a moment, and then they go and basically they're going to turn this infant, this baby, this newborn, loose out to the elements on this planet. And you can see it shoots it out there. And yeah, we see them as they're witnessing everything that goes on, and these creatures just like rip it to shreds within a matter of seconds. And they cheer. It's really bizarre. But they go out and retrieve some of the remains. They need to get some of the DNA. And they bring it back in, and it turns out what they have been doing is they have been recovering the remains. They've been doing this over and over and over again, thousands of times, growing these babies, sending them out there to this hostile environment, going out and retrieving the remains, bringing them in, and modifying the genetics to try to compensate for what's killing it, basically. And as they do, each time they're able to slowly get this baby to live a little bit longer, a few seconds, minutes, to the point where even at one point it's able to survive for like 2 days. But as they do, it starts to take a different shape, as you can see here. This is the first time the baby has been out on its own for several hours. It's evading the beast, then they lock onto it. They're like, oh, he won't last long. You can see some of the creatures here against this baby now that's, I guess, rapidly aging. The baby's fighting back. He's going to die, but those enhancements he's evolved are working. We have turned the corner. But the alien's like, when he has expired, collect the necessary samples. We shall begin again. It's important to note, too, that this is like 30 years later from where we started. You can see they've actually aged up the scientists. Some have actually already died, and they've had to bring in new scientists along the way. But they're finally here. And by the way, this lead scientist, this like gray alien, his name is Bertrand. And it's been his dream to create this being. And he calls him the Ultimate. And he figured the name was appropriate. This time the Ultimate had survived outside the lab for almost 2 full years. 1 second. So they've got him on screen here. Bertrand, he's returning. The sensors show no trace of the beast anywhere on the planet. As part of his mission to live, he's hunted all of them to extinction. So he's been alive for 2 years now. He's killed everything out there. And Bertrand's like, we did it. He's immortal at long last. He does not breathe. He does not eat. He has no internal organs and minimal fluids. He is almost solid throughout, nourished by solar energy that he can store for millennium if necessary. He can survive any environment, destroy any creature. Should the Ultimate somehow find any creature stronger than he and actually be killed, he will come back to life, evolved into a superior being. He is beautiful. And of course, this is Doomsday. So this explains why Doomsday was able to continue to grow and evolve even during the fight with Superman. He was literally engineered to do so. All right, so he shows up to the lab, and they're like, "Hey, so Bertrand, what was the plan for after we finally get him to this peak state, the ultimate state? What then?" And he's like, "Well, I don't really know what to do. I hadn't thought of that." And unfortunately, Doomsday is there, and Doomsday wants to get inside. And that's when they realize that he intends to kill all of them. And in fact, as part of his genetic engineering, there's also been a genetic memory he literally remembers all the times he's died and what has happened to him, how he's been tortured. And he wants his payback.
Yeah, you in trouble now.
Yeah. I mean, imagine this has been going on for decades. And yeah. So he busts in and he's like, I created you. I'm your father. And Doomsday's like, no. So with that, the rest of the scientists are like, hey, we got to get out of here. They blast off. What does Doomsday do? He grabs onto the spacecraft. And it takes them back. I'm sorry. I missed the part. There's once a month, there is a supply ship that comes to them from this other planet. That's what Doomsday latched onto. And it takes them back to this planet. What's the name of this planet again? Oh, I forget now. Oh, I forget. But it takes them back to this Calaton. It's a very advanced planet with this golden city as its capital. And Doomsday is attacking it, basically, is what's happening. And he almost takes over the entire planet until all that's left is their golden capital. And it's up to the monarchy here. Basically, they've been inbreeding is what they've been doing for millennium. And but it has presented them with several powers, I guess. And so what they do is they decide to use their technology to combine all of their powers and project it into this single being called the Radiant. So they give up their lives basically to become the Radiant. And the Radiant is able to actually defeat Doomsday, because while Doomsday was created to take on physical foes, the Radiant is attacking him with energy, and Doomsday is not prepared for that. So, unfortunately, though, the Radiant had the opportunity to take apart Doomsday's body, but they did not. The Calatonians decided to wrap Doomsday in their traditional burial garb. And you can see this technology here. They've wrapped him up and they send him into space. And of course, we recognize this suit as the original suit we first saw Doomsday break out of. They send him into space, but he gets caught up in an asteroid belt, which sends him flying into the Earth so deep underground that he had been in Earth, sitting there underground for a very long time before he eventually broke free. So hundreds of thousands of years ago, basically. And eventually his body did recover and he broke out, is what had happened. So now Superman knows the truth. At this point, Darkseid kicks him out. He's like, go deal with Doomsday. But you need to get off Apokolips now or you're going to be my enemy again. So much for Darkseid owing Superman 1. So Cyborg Superman is attacking the food supply of Apokolips to starve out the population. Darkseid wants help with Cyborg, so Superman goes to help him. Superman tries to stop the missiles, but it's too strong for him to even punch through. But then the Darkseid shoots him with his Omega beams, and Darkseid's like, I will take care of Cyborg Superman. You get out of here. I'm sorry. I skipped the part. Superman shows up to help take out Henshaw, but the Omega beams get him first and are successful in taking him down. So you get that kind of cool scene there. Superman helps finish him off. Although Henshaw is able to rebuild himself with all the technology of Apokolips nearby, and he keeps getting bigger and bigger. Superman hits him with his heat vision, as you can see. Again, he builds himself again, even bigger. And so Superman jumps at it. But again, Darkseid clearly has the upper hand here. His Omega beams are really all that's needed. He hits him yet again, as you can see there. And Superman's like, wow, when I beat him before, I knew his consciousness was still able to survive. But after this, I don't think even his consciousness is able to survive. You just blast him with your Omega beams dead on. So at this point, he does send Superman off on his way. And that's where we leave off on issue number 2. So I'll jump to issue number 3 here. And I'm sorry, I'm trying not to skip too much, but it is a little bit of a longer story. So
yeah, these come in at about 45-ish pages per book. Yeah. So it's more like a 6-issue miniseries condensed down into 3.
Yeah. And even the originals, they are square-bound books.
Yeah. And there's no advertisements, I don't think, even in the originals, right?
Nope.
So this is like all story.
Yep. All right. I'll try to get through this before my voice gives out. So we got Superman standing there. His suit's all tattered. He's got the mother box still on his arm. Darkseid's kicking him off of Apokolips. And we also learn, though, Darkseid has a secret. He grabs this little sphere, and we realize that he kept a little part of Henshaw's consciousness alive in this sphere so that he can use it later to his advantage. But Superman is unaware. At this point, Superman has to go fight Doomsday. But, how's Superman going to fight Doomsday? Especially after what he just learned. He knows that Doomsday is invulnerable to him now. He will not be able to kill him the same way. So the mother box starts going off and basically builds him this new suit. So we get this kind of like very 90s style armored Superman with pouches. And I think he's even got a sword. So kind of cool. So with this, Superman's like, all right, well, maybe there's something on here that will help me fight him differently than I fought him before. So there we go. So he goes into another boom tube, chasing after Doomsday. This time, Waverider is coming along. They go to Calaton, and they realize that that's where Doomsday, they had sent Doomsday through the boom tube. And they're like, why would you send him there? It's the worst place possible. They're the only ones guaranteed not to be able to defeat him because you can't defeat him the same way twice. So Doomsday has already gotten there first. He is destroying the city again. And but this time, the new monarchy is already ready. They already know what to do. They create another Radiant. This is hundreds of thousands of years later, but they remember how to do this. And he's like, I'll defeat you again. And he tries the same exact tricks as before. He's like, I'm not even going to play around with you this time. I remember how he defeated you. Unfortunately, though, he does not have the knowledge that Superman does. He does not know that Doomsday is now invulnerable to this attack. And you can see Doomsday, that fist comes up again, fighting back. And Radiant realizes he's in trouble because this was the only thing that worked before. And you can see Doomsday just slice him in half. At this point, Doomsday is freed. There's nothing there to stop him, but then the boom tube opens with Superman and Waverider flying out of it. They see the Radiant there. Superman goes up to talk to him before he can pass away. And Radiant's basically just begging them to save his people. And he's like, don't let them get to the central power source, or it'll just take out our whole civilization at once. It taps right into the core of the planet. So, but then he passes away, and Superman knows that he's got to go fight Doomsday now. So he heads over to the core. You can see these batteries here. Doomsday is already there, beginning to bust through them. Superman calls out, "That's enough." And we get Superman versus Doomsday yet again. We get our rematch. Superman says you have to be stopped permanently. I don't know how intelligent you are. Maybe you're just a mindless, raging beast. If you remember me, you know I put you down before. Doomsday goes, huh? Metropolis. And Superman's like, oh my gosh, you talk and you remember Metropolis. He must know he can defeat you. Waverider says. Either that or you don't concern him, because Doomsday seems to just ignore Superman for a bit. But Superman's like, last time I was brawling with him. This time I'm going to try burning him. So he uses his heat vision and slams Doomsday in the back. This gets Doomsday's attention. And now Superman's going to try to keep his distance by staying in the air because Doomsday cannot fly. So Doomsday throws these boulders at him to try to knock Superman down. And now we get kind of a new power, another evolution of Doomsday. Just like Wolverine, his claws begin to extend. Only they go much longer than Wolverine's. They almost become like hooks of some kind that shoot out, and they go right through harpoons. It was the word I was looking for. Go right through Superman's shoulder, and they harpoon him. Superman's like, I had no idea, and now he's basically hooked like a fish onto Doomsday's arm. He's trying to get away. He knows he's got to plug into the battery pack here. He plugs in, and now he tries a sonic weapon against Doomsday. And that actually does have an effect on Doomsday. He wasn't ready for that. Superman realizes he's got to break free. He pulls the harpoons out of his arm and flies up to keep his distance. At this point, Waverider himself gets in the fight and goes and actually touches Doomsday to try to see what is driving him. And that's when he realizes that when Doomsday looks at Superman, he only sees one thing. He sees Bertrand, the original alien that created him. So every time he sees Superman, that's who he's seeing. Doesn't know why, but that begins to make a little bit more sense of why Superman's his target. Let's see. At this point, Superman begins to figure out that maybe Waverider hasn't told him everything. He says, that doesn't make sense. Why would he look at me as Bertrand? He's like, wait a minute. The creatures that were doing these genetic experiments, you never told me what planet that was that they were on, that they were experimenting on Doomsday, where he was engineered. You said it happened a long time ago, and the planet had an interest in genetics. You didn't tell me where it was. And Superman's like, admit it, it was Krypton, wasn't it? Doomsday was born on Krypton. So this was an ancient Krypton where it was so uninhabitable except for those dangerous creatures. But these scientists came down and used Krypton to basically create Doomsday. After the supply ship took Doomsday away, some of those scientists stayed there to continue on the research of genetic engineering, and hence we got Krypton. So Doomsday actually dates back quite a way, and is very much part of Krypton's history, and Superman's. And that explains why Doomsday senses the Kryptonian in him and holds him accountable, basically. So now we understand how he was developed, why he's able to become so strong and evolve, and we also kind of learned some of the history of Krypton as well. Now it's just time for the fight to get on its way again. Again, they begin brawling it out. Superman does have this new gear on, which is helping him some. The mother box is definitely helping to guide him. We've also got Waverider helping him. Superman pulls out this sword, you can see, and he's actually able to stab it into Doomsday's shoulder, I believe. He hits him with his heat vision. He's just hitting him with everything at once, but Doomsday pulls the sword out of him. I'm sorry, out of his side, it looks like. And you can see how Doomsday just heals instantly. And he's back on top of Superman, breaks Superman's arm right there. Check that out. Snaps it backwards a second time for a compound fracture. You have to think maybe that's a bit of payback for what Superman did to his knee bone in the last fight. Here, Waverider gets involved again, breaking all the rules here. And this time, Doomsday is able to actually send some of the energy back at him. It's like he's evolving. 1 second. Excuse me. So now Doomsday focuses his attention back on Superman. Superman's trying to get up. He realizes that he has now become the prey. Doomsday picks him up, and Superman's thoughts go back to Lois, realizing he broke his promise to her. He's not going to make it home again. How could he have put himself back in this situation? Doomsday throws him into one of the batteries. It explodes. Waverider is afraid that they failed yet again, or that he's failed Superman yet again. But he does see that Superman did survive the blast. It actually turns the entire planet's surface to glass. But Doomsday's hand comes busting through, as it always does. He's still alive. And he's still coming for Superman. Clark's still fighting with his one good arm. He knows he's got to make it into the air if he's got any hope of escaping. He sees Waverider's band, his wristband, lying on the ground from the explosion. Waverider got knocked back too. He picks it up. He makes it to the air. He knows that he's got to get Waverider back into this fight. Now Doomsday is headed back towards the central battery there. You see him kind of headed off into the distance, again, trying to destroy the entire planet. Superman, we thought he disappeared. He actually just flew 5 miles away so he could get a good start, so he could hit Doomsday harder than he's ever hit him before. Knocking him into the side of this mountain here. Again, keeps fighting, but this time he puts the band, Waverider's band, on Doomsday's spike there, and connects the mother box to it and says, "Let's go now." And it takes Superman and Doomsday into the time stream, because Superman realizes there's only one place to go for a creature like Doomsday, who can evolve and just continue to become better and better. He is the ultimate. But he needs Waverider back. So he's going to this place where space doesn't exactly feel. There's the gravity has opposing forces. It's a very nasty place. Waverider comes back into the fight. He says, "Oh, Superman, thank you for bringing me here, but I got to get you out of here quick. You cannot survive." He gets his band back. He says, "We have got to get you out of here. This is his end." And he takes Superman and they port out, leaving Doomsday where? At the end of time. The one place where entropy awaits like a ravenous beast, where it drains all energy and life. There's nothing to evolve to. It literally is the end of all time. It's the only place where Doomsday can truly be defeated. The universe is crushed by this entropy. It's the only place where life cannot exist. The universe dies and time comes to an end. Doomsday and his violent killing rage shall come to a mercifully final end as well. And that is the end of this story. We get Superman and Waverider coming back. The mother box is on its last leg, is just about out of juice. It does one final thing. It converts Superman back to his normal form and delivers him back to Earth. Waverider says his goodbyes, and we get Superman here back on Lois's rooftop, still feeling like the little boy that was scared going down the steps before, but this time he's got his confidence. And he goes in and he greets Lois again and says that he's home. And that is the end of Superman Doomsday Hunter Prey.
Wow.
Really, just, I mean, in my opinion, just a phenomenal story and a great end to the death of Superman. It really did tie a lot of those loose ends up.
Yeah, so bringing this comment back up, Seeking Superman says, Doomsday should have been a one and done, never seen again after issue 75, but I'll admit this is a great story.
I would agree. I think it should have been one and done, and then this proved me wrong. I think this was the fitting end to that story. It came very shortly after the original story, so it wasn't like they drug it out a while, and it did. It gave us that closure, I think, that we needed to the story. And it also it was almost like Jurgens in a way was putting an end to it and capping it off, and making sure that they would not continue to reuse Doomsday the way they did other villains, you know?
Yeah. Great story so far. Yeah. Ben said, so yeah. So do you think that this story, like I said, they did 3 issues. Do you think that this works better as 3 longer issues instead of 6 shorter issues? I think it works better as 3.
I do too.
It made it were these monthly then?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So instead of doing a 6-month limited series, they did a 3-month bigger impact story.
And it felt like a bigger deal at the time. Like, again, they're square bound books. They're cardstock covers, and the paper is like a higher quality paper. You got, again, like this early 90s CGI in the background of each one, you know?
Yeah.
Remember all that going around at the time?
Yeah.
So it again, it kind of felt like it was something premium, special almost. Back at that time, you know.
They don't really do this at that time, and they still don't really do this now, but this would have made one heck of a treasury size story.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, I love, especially what this story really does well are some of the splash pages.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, you keep in mind that Superman 75 was a complete splash page issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there weren't panels. So, yeah, I had never read this before.
Oh.
So this was a first for me. I really liked it. I don't think it gets the attention that it deserves.
I know.
My issue that I did, issue 1, I thought was a solid 5. Start to finish. That thing was perfect. Second issue, to me, slows down a little bit, but that's because you don't get a lot of Superman in that issue. But you get Doomsday, which you didn't have his origin before. So it's a very important issue. For me, it slowed down the story a little bit, but I can't really fault it for that because you need that backstory.
Yep.
You know, overall, I'm gonna do a 4.5 overall for the overall story.
All right.
And that's pretty good out of 5.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. I think 4 or 5 is I mean, the only thing better in my opinion would be like the death of Superman. So yeah.
Do you have a favorite out of the 3 issues?
I think it was actually issue 2 is my favorite because I really like the origin. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
that's cool.
because you have to remember, coming out of the death of Superman, we were never told why Doomsday was there, where he came from, what his purpose was, why he's fighting. It was just this big dumb monster, and he kills Superman, and then it's like over, and it's like, what gives? And so there was all of these questions. So that origin really explained quite a bit, and it was like, oh, that makes sense. Cool. And it almost kind of made Doomsday a little tragic in a way, you know? I mean, not that you necessarily feel bad for him, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, yeah, he was engineered through torture like that.
Yeah.
4.75.
Yeah, I got an even higher score.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's this to me would be another great animated movie if it's done right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, do you mind if I jump to the book show?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because it's going to lead right into what we just did.
Yeah. Go ahead.
In fact, I brought a book show for Tony too, although
you did. Okay. You're going to take Tony's turn too. Okay.
I will.
That's good.
So, yes, there is a particular toy in the Death of Superman run that has Superman looking very different, and it might be very confusing for you had you not read this story. But this is the Hunter Prey Superman. You can see Superman in that suit. Sorry, you're getting the reflection of my Green Lantern wallpaper. Isn't that cool though?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And as you can see, it comes with a comic. And I've got another copy here of that. So for those of you trying to collect everything, there's a little extra piece to it that I thought was kind of neat.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. You want to do talk about your channel and anything else you'd like to show?
Yeah. So on my channel, to be honest, I've been under the weather, so everything's been kind of thrown off schedule. But eventually, I will be getting back to some of my live streams again. I haven't really been I haven't been collecting new stuff too much lately, so I haven't had much to show as far as finds. But I did bring another book show here today that also I thought ties into this. And it's funny, we were just talking about Seeking Superman saying it should have been a one and done, and now we're kind of saying, yeah, but this Hunter Prey kind of makes sense, right? Like it's okay.
It doesn't feel like just a cash grab,
right? And then
imagine that concept.
I know, but then the third one.
Oh no,
Superman: The Doomsday Wars. It is another 3-parter. Done in, again, square-bound issues, much like Hunter Prey.
Are they the longer format?
It's a little bit shorter, not quite as long, but yeah, it's Dan Jurgens again. It's the same team. Well, it's not Breedings, but it is Jurgens. And I think Jurgens did both the art as well as the story. Now, I love Dan Jurgens. I really enjoy his stuff. Superman Doomsday Wars, I think we could have done without. This is the third fight of Superman and Doomsday. I don't think we're ever going to retro review this, so I'm going to spoil it for if you want to go read this, close your ears. But basically, they bring Doomsday back a third time. They bring him back from the vanishing or from the end of time. Because of, do you remember that event 0 Hour?
I do.
Where they had to reconvene the timelines. Well, apparently when that went down, get this, Brainiac used that opportunity to save Doomsday at the last second from the end of time. And he basically evolved Doomsday to put his own consciousness into him. So now you get Doomsday's body with Brainiac's mind. Like, come on, really? Like, I don't think we need to go there.
That feels like the Jason versus Freddy movies, you know?
Yes. And so they have Superman go and fight him, and eventually he defeats him with by putting him into a transporter, the Justice League's Watchtower's transporter, but in 4 different transporters that are constantly left in mid-transport on the moon. It's kind of silly. Not my favorite. I think they could have done without it. But you might find this interesting, though, Lasso. This is the battle where we first get to see Wonder Woman fight Doomsday, because he has the rematch with the Justice League in this one. But it's a different Justice League, because it was that 90s Justice League in the Death of Superman. Here, you get Flash, Wonder Woman, and all, and Wonder Woman is the main one battling him, so we kind of get to see what she would do. And Doomsday can defeat the Lasso of Truth. So, but that's all I've got for the book show. Again, I'm glad we reviewed Hunter Prey and not Doomsday Wars.
Yeah. Who knows? That Signature King might pick that one.
Yeah.
He might.
Yeah. Superman Day of Doom was a really good one. But that's kind of still part of the same story, right? That's just a different telling of the death of Superman from a different perspective. But yeah.
Do you think that Tony didn't show up tonight because he was worried that the book show would involve, and I didn't choose this as my book show either, but do you think that he was worried that it would involve showing that Superman 75 facsimile incentive foil, with Lois holding it, that we've shown in the past that you and I both have, and he doesn't?
He doesn't have it.
He doesn't have that one. And did you know he doesn't have a Swamp Thing 37?
That's the no, he's got to have that one, right? Because that's the first appearance of Constantine,
and he's a huge John Constantine fan.
Oh, loves him. Justice League Dark is like his favorite team. Yeah.
Oh, look who's here! Copy's here. What's going on, Copy?
How's it going?
Here to say foil.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, for my book show, this isn't nearly as exciting as what you showed, but it's still fun. The Death of Superman trade paperback. So
very cool.
Yeah. I got this one for the nice price of just pay for shipping.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This was offered by the Comic Mint.
Okay.
And they did, it was free while supplies last, just pay for shipping.
Is that hardback?
No, this is softcover.
Turn it on its side. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's first I thought it was the hardback one that came with the Blu-ray. But that's the counter that goes with this set.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's part of that wave, yeah.
And this is book 5.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that was my book show. I have a back issue of the week YouTube short that comes out every Monday. I have a new one that will be a Halloween themed one dropping tomorrow. On Halloween, as I usually do on Tuesday afternoons, I drop my comic book editions video. Fingers crossed I get one put out this week. I don't have anything set or ready for it yet. I'm hoping to still keep hammering that out because I have some great stuff I want to show. So hopefully one of those will be dropping this week as well. My comic book editions video that dropped this past week showed some recent back issues that I've added into my collection, including some Supergirl stuff too. I know that Copy watched it and he approved of that because he likes Supergirl too. So check that out on my channel. Of course, there's links for all the fanboys in the description for this video. I don't want to forget to jump back. Right when we were starting the retro review, Paul S. asked a question to you, and I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge that. So remember last week we were talking about the retroactive books? He wants to know, are you aware that there's a Green Lantern one for the 70s, 80s, and 90s? These are one-shots.
I don't know offhand. Not sure.
Okay.
I'll have to check.
Yeah. Maybe sometime, probably not this year, but maybe next year we'll do some type of retroactive, theme for.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that might be one that I need. I'm not sure. They do all kinds of weird one-shots and stuff. It's hard keeping track of them all.
This is the cover of one of them?
Yes, I do have that.
Okay, and then
70s
one?
Yes, I have all of those. I have seen those.
And then since I'm showing the other ones, I might as well show this one too.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we've covered your channel. We covered our channel. What do you think Tony's doing on his channel? Anything you think? Yeah. Tim is, working on a big gas station nachos and comics video.
Yeah.
So I look forward to watching that.
It's like an obsession for him. I don't know.
It is. Yeah. Well, when you're the manager of gas station nachos, that's someone has to be a nachos manager.
Good. We miss him though. I was trying
to
pull him into this one because I knew he would have really enjoyed this this issue, but couldn't make it.
Not available tonight. That's okay. So, but that brings us to the end of the greatest DC comic show on YouTube, Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. Next week it's going to be on
my channel,
your channel, and the pick is going to be by the one who's not here,
Tony. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I will tell you that I had the opportunity to buy one of those Section 8. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The issue, and they showed me the cover, and who was on the cover. And they say, "You want to buy this Magic Lasso?" And Magic Lasso swiped the other way. No, he didn't want to buy it.
Yeah, it doesn't go well.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No.
But it brings us to the end of this. Very important. What type of candy are you handing out on Tuesday at your house?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I didn't buy it.
Well, I'll just show up anyway for the candy.
That's fine.
Happy Halloween. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you. Oh, I've got a big thank you here from Seeking Superman. We'll catch you next week for Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. Have a successful, healthy, and happy, safe Halloween and week, and we'll catch you next weekend. Take care.